Oh my god, you guys, this is day 9.
And this is Husky, and today we are going to be casting one of the games from the open bracket, spawning in the bottom, or I'll start with the bottom left. It is REVnoxn, our pink Zerg, and I automatically have to cheer for anyone who totes the color pink, because pink is for men, Sean.
Indubitably, my dear Husky. In the top right, we have Complexity's Trimaster, a guy who made a lot of recent splash at MLG Raleigh. Now, keep in mind, this is from the amateur bracket, which doesn't mean that these players are necessarily just amateurs and bad by any regard. It means that anyone at all can sign up to play. And we see REVnoxn, of course, making that comment because many Zergs recently have begun to hate this because it is against the 2 racks, quite difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And also, one thing I want to throw out there, this is the finals of the winners bracket in these players' respective groups. There are 16 amateur brackets, and they are cut down to 3, and whoever wins this will go to that final 2 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to mention a little bit about Trimaster. You mentioned he was from MLG. That is absolutely true. He is someone who worked his way all the way through the open bracket, and then his lineup was totally stacked once he made it to the championship bracket. He had to take on, you know, small people like Idra, and Huck was able to actually knock Idra out of the tournament. If you guys have seen the video of him making Idra rage, then that was absolutely hilarious. And then he would manage to take an extremely awesome game off of Huck, but he was already down in that extended series, so he was not able to win that. But he made it so far in that tournament, and he's also still in the GSPA doing quite well. We were looking up his previous games. I think he's only dropped 1 game so far, but he has yet to lose a series.
Yeah, I mean, going like X and O in best of 3s is always a very, very impressive feat. Now he's going to be opening up with the 2 racks, which I'm actually quite excited to see because 2 racks is one of those strategies that everyone said it's too hard to beat, it's too strong, no Zergs can hold it off, and without any major solution cropping up, it just sort of faded away. It just sort of faded out as one of the big primary strategies that Terrans are using a lot. And that is just largely because Zergs are incredibly good at drone management and drone control now, or they just open up gas speed, as we're seeing REVnoxn open.
Yeah, getting a hatch first or something does leave you vulnerable, but this is going to be enough Zerglings. And REVnoxn was also saying, man, I really hate this map. That's going to be because of the 2 racks, so he's going a build that is fairly strong versus that exact thing by getting out those Zerglings. 2 more Zerglings on the way. Zergling speed has already begun, and you can see that Trimaster knows it. He backed up just a little bit there. He's going to be playing a little bit careful, but after he scouts this base, it's going to be tough for him. If he continues to do this attack, he very well could get surrounded. However, he is making a lot of Marines here, so we'll see if he decides to continue moving forward here or if it's too big of a risk.
Now, it looks like in the vision area, we see that Zerg doesn't actually know that Terran's doing this yet. It looks like, oh, there the Zerglings are going to be spotting the 2 racks, and oh, REVnoxn is going to be in a very awkward spot trying to rebuild as quickly as he can. Now, I'm most interested in Trimaster's follow-up to this, because generally it doesn't even have the opportunity to do that much damage, but in this position, Husky, I think that there's going to be a lot of damage dealt to Zerg.
Wants to save the Overlord as long as he can, but Trimaster is going to be microing back using that stutter step. The SCV has gone down, so there won't be any bunker. This Queen is very vulnerable out here in the center. Will be able to do some damage here. He desperately wants to save the Overlord. He wasn't able to, but 10 Zerglings have begun being produced right now, and the Zergling speed has just now finished. Is he going to end up losing a Queen? I don't think so. This will get cleaned up, but was this attack worth it for Trimaster?
See, this is what always makes it so hard to do a 2 racks. Oh my god, you poor Marines. The rally point did not lead you very well. We see a couple of Zerglings now going to be able to rush up and pick those off with relative ease. And there we do have 1 Queen, 2 Queen coming in. If you're in Trimaster's position, yeah, you have the second command center started, but you don't really have anything else. It's the follow-up to the 2 racks that gives me the most questions. What is the best way to lead off that? Because as we can see, in that unit counting station, Zerg is not far behind in terms of the worker count. He did kill off 2 workers in that initial assault, so Zerg is a lot better off just by having stronger control, stronger macro.
Yeah, absolutely. Now he has that complete map control, so expect to see a couple rounds of drones coming in. We do see 7 being produced right now for REVnoxn, following this up exactly how he needs to. You can see Trimaster's command center going to be completing just now, but you got to remember, in that engagement, REVnoxn was able to kill 200 minerals worth of Marines because of that faulty rally point, and that's going to make him feel extremely comfortable. He may not have felt as good if he was not able to do that, but look at this. He can continue to poke up here, see exactly what's going on. He's got to know that, well, the only thing that's going to be up there is Marines and an expansion. Looks like Trimaster going to be moving down that ramp with these Marines. Just needs to be very careful because he doesn't know exactly what he's moving into, but he will be able to kill a handful of Zerglings there, and that once again is going to slowly take away the map control from REVnoxn.
REVnoxn needs to land those larva injects in a spot-on fashion. We do see the double factory now down for Trimaster. Looks like he will be following up with the double Hellion build. Really one of the few good ways to transition out of a 2-Rax. There are just so few options after you open up with that 2-Rax play. A couple more Zerglings getting spawned as well. No layer yet. A single Spine Crawler to help manage a little bit of that pressure, because if these Marines pop out and you're not prepared, you insta-lose.
Right now, Trimaster does need to be very, very careful here. Again, if there's anything like a hidden Baneling or something like that, it can get this round, completely destroy that army, so he's taking a little bit of a risk here. He is getting that map control, though, grabbing both of those watchtowers right now. The squirt gun upgrade for those blue flame Hellions going to be here fairly soon. You can see, yeah, he's going to back out here. Doesn't want to engage, you know, a lot of roaches, some banelings, anything like that, as just Marines with no sort of upgrade, no stim pack or combat shields is not something you want to risk at this stage of the game. We do have that baneling nest on the way, as well as hive tech, or lair tech, excuse me, and also working on these rocks for a possible third.
A lot of geysers down now for REVnoxn, and there the barracks now creating a little bit of a wall there. Would not be surprised to see Trimaster lift both of those barracks to scoot those inward. Blue Flame not really close to done, only a little over halfway, which again goes to show a little bit of the vulnerability of going for that 2 barracks play. White players have steered away from it and are going more for the Hellion style openings. A lot of Zerglings on the field taking down those destructible rocks, as you said before, and per usual, creep spread's important, and look at that creep spread by REVnoxn, really gooping up that map.
Yeah, there's the designated creeper right there. He's also going to be transitioning into getting a Spire. Nothing too uncommon out of our Zerg player. It does look like Trimaster walling off one side of that entrance does kind of funnel those units into that natural should our Zerg player decide to attack from that location. That is going to leave the tech lab a little bit vulnerable. I don't think that's going to play a huge role in this game. Look at the amount of Hellions he has. The blue flame just now finishing. He's really got to try and put on the hurt with these. This is a lot of Hellions. Can easily one-shot workers and Zerglings alike. Does our Zerg player have anything in preparation for this?
Ooh, the Zerg needs to be really careful. Trimaster is actually being a touch bold with these. He really should not advance too far aggressively in. This is the sort of thing that can get you in a ton of trouble. He's rushing up. Oh, he's going to get a great angle on those Zerglings. This is a very nice play by Trimaster. But again, he's got to be careful. He doesn't actually have to sack these Hellions, but he's treating them as though they're going to end up dying. He manages to kill off 2 workers. And look at that line up there, ripping through those Zerglings.
Now the drones need to be very careful here.
Oh,
nice
no.
splitting on the drones, trying to keep them alive. Wow, his splitting on those drones was actually great, but now he did group them up again. They probably would have been better just sitting at home.
Oh,
and
no! He's lining them up! Oh, no!
Trying to do a lot of damage. And he was able to kill a total of 12 there. But that could have gone a lot worse, and that was 6 Hellions.
Those 6 Hellions, actually, if you just look at the resources lost, Zerg has lost a little bit more, but I would venture to say that that was largely done by that 2-Rax play. I mean, if you come to the unit station, still even with the opponent, 10 Mutalisks popping out right now, and per usual, one of my favorite aspects about the Blue Flame Hellion, you go straight into double tank production. Num, 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 num.
Yeah, both players were supply blocked at the exact same supply. Trimaster thankfully queued up a lot of supply depots they're going to be finishing up right now, and that will allow the continuation of the siege tank production. But 10 mutas on the field can prove to be extremely annoying, and we do have the creep spread to back it up, but needs to be careful there with these mutas. Now, this is really smart by Trimaster. He's moving out a little bit, preventing the Zerg player from attacking his main, buying a little bit of time to get up those missile turrets. Needs to be careful. He really wants to snipe those tanks, but he doesn't have quite enough stuff. The timing of this from Trimaster is so smart because he does not want these mutas inside of his main base.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great point. If you have the Mutalisk just pinned back here to defense, the fact that they can harass and fly everywhere is suddenly negated. And we see not even stim done yet for Trimaster. It's a very bold attack timing, but a very smart one at that. And once he starts planting some scans, he can be in a good shape to eliminate all these obnoxious creep tumors.
And the stim pack going to be finishing up right now. +1 attack is only about halfway done, so it's one of those situations where Trimaster needs to be careful because his army is very vulnerable. If he gets caught out of position, the Muta's trying to find that exact weakness, has not been able to find it, but he has been able to keep the majority of his Mutalisks alive. He does have Baneling speed on the way, so he's just trying to buy a little bit of time, but you can see he is in defensive mode. He has 14 Zerglings on the way. Everything he's making right now has to do with dealing with this contain, and he should be able to do it, even cleaning up a Hellion or 2 down there at the expansion. But the split on those Marines for Trimaster is pretty good.
And we already see a little bit of stimming, darting forward to try to lure in some of those banelings, to try to pick off some of those creep tumors. We see the tanks doing a nice job cleaning up the zerglings, but REVnoxn, amazing job of keeping all those banelings held back, and here he goes for it.
Running directly into the siege line, but there's just not that much stuff here. It does look like he'll be able to clean it up. Needs to make sure not to waste too many of those banelings. He did not. Was able to break that contain during this Trimaster has begun, making his third base. Now has another army completely macroed up. He would have loved to be able to reinforce his army at the same time, but his wall in with these barracks is pretty good. There's really only one avenue of attack for our Zerg player to pressure the Terran, but right now he once again is going to be in defensive. Trimaster being so aggressive with his multitasking and with his attack timing.
And there it looks like that bottom right hatchery is doomed to fall unless REVnoxn can do a lot of miracles here with this army, and it looks like he does have the money mix at just the right time, but Trimaster with a couple more Marines. He's got to be careful. He's waiting for that stim to run out of juice. And when it does, he can hit it again with some Mutaling, but oh no! Losing the hatchery. It might have even been correct for REVnoxn to just sack those mutas as much as possible to kill the Marines.
He absolutely needs that third base because right now Trimaster is going to be setting up the very powerful high yield expand. He can set up a planetary fortress there if he wants. Makes it very difficult to deal with, but Trimaster's macro is just spot on, keeping his resources under 100 at all times, making a lot of Marines and that double siege tank production as well as all of his upgrades. He is just rolling out here with a lot of units, and the reinforcement timing of that last attack was just so powerful. These Mutalisks have yet to do any sort of harassment. The scan's going to reveal the banelings are on the way. The siege tanks are in range here. He needs to be careful with these banelings, and he forces the cancel there, and that's going to be a huge victory for Trimaster.
I can't emphasize enough the fact that Trimaster is just continuously moving out, just non-stop.
Right.
He has not even built a starport for a medevac. There, it's finally done. He can begin building medevac #1. But until that time, I mean, Trimaster, his response to losing health on his Marines is just to make more Marines.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting hyper-aggressive style where he is not utilizing those drops. But the banelings, that was so close, but focus firing for the siege tanks was phenomenal. Trimaster almost lost all those Marines, and you got to remember, if Trimaster loses the Marines, he's going to lose the tanks with them as well. But phenomenal control with that Star Step, even focusing down a Queen. The Zerglings should be able to clean this up, but that attack was definitely worth it for Trimaster. He will most likely lose those siege tanks if he did not back them out in time. The planetary is now done, his high yield expansion happily mining, and REVnoxn, while his control has been really, really good, has not been able to really fully saturate that third base.
I mean, it's hard to have an answer to a Terran who's just throwing so many units at you so rapidly. This planetary fortress was up because he was dealing with this attack, and we see REVnoxn now trying to rebuild his 4th and 3rd bases, but we see no macro hatch except for that one right there. Sometimes I can rebend those words to make that sound right, but no, indeed, look, it's right there in front of me. Amazing. But with this macro hatch up, REVnoxn can get a little bit control, but he really has not been getting good macro out of that macro hatch.
Yeah, I mean, he needs a lot of drones right now. He's continuing Mutalisk Zergling production, but what we need to see out of him is a couple wave of drones. That's really the only way he's going to be able to catch up with the income of that high-yield expansion. Now, the timing of the expansion on the left side is pretty interesting here. It can take Trimaster by surprise if he doesn't spot it right away. It's just that with very few drones, I mean, look, we still have 16 Zerglings on the way, only 2 drones being produced there. So while REVnoxn has been able to hold on very, very well with some good micro, good unit composition, and good timings, I think the only thing he's really slipping on is the macro, and against a player like Trimaster, you're going to have to be very, very careful. Now, Trimaster does have that Thor, which is so good against mutas if they are caught by surprise.
Edge splitting off some Marines, and REVnoxn, you know, is looking very much so like your standard, very high-level Zerg player, but it's just not quite enough to deal with this all over the tack timing by Complexity Trimaster, and there he stims and tries to target fire. The gold's going to have to be canceled. That top gets cleaned up, and wow, REVnoxn, nice job saving that expansion, sacking the center, but can you really engage at this point?
I know the siege tanks are spread out very well. REVnoxn is running out of time. He's way behind in supply. He does have a lot of mutas. Needs to be careful here as there's a Thor nearby, and the splash damage can hit every single one of those if they're clumped up too heavily. So both these players playing very, very well, but Trimaster's decision-making going to be just slightly better moving forward. Now that he's locked down that high-yield expansion, he knows he's in good shape. Does look like a little bit of splash damage there, but the Thor has for sure been revealed. And at this point, I think REVnoxn is just going to have to max up on Zerglings, which is exactly what he's doing, and try and break this contain once again.
And it looks like he's getting some Mutalisks in position. The Ling Baneling is also in good spot. Look at that. Very rapid, but also very careful tank placement by Trimaster. And now he's decided to go in and needs to be really careful to get that Thor, stimming the Marines, pulling them back. But man, there's a lot of Zerg units. The Banelings are detonating mid-path, but it is just so many Zerg units. REVnoxn cleans it up. Trimaster is pulling his army to the right, and at the same time, an attack to the left. That's the tactical decision-making that gives you wins.
Yeah, especially in Trimaster's position where he just lost that entire army. He's like, most Terran players would just kind of fall back, but he's like, no, I'm going to take out this expansion. At the same time, looks like the Zerg player going in for the kill. Does he have enough stuff here? He needs some good baneling in, but the focus firing on the tanks takes them all out, and that army evaporates as REVnoxn got a little excited there after winning that one battle. But look at the macro of Trimaster, able to keep his supply way ahead of the Zerg, even after losing that massive army. Very, very good macro out of Trimaster today.
I cannot believe quite how intimidating Trimaster continues to be. REVnoxn on the back foot always, does not even have a layer up yet. There's the Ghost Academy coming down right now, and it's kind of funny because a lot of times people's statements on balance or even just strategy more simply. Ow, another small pack is hit. A lot of those statements revolve around when things line up. You should normally be getting ghosts around the time that I am getting broodlords. This is very, very common to see, but Trimaster accelerating that pace with that aggression of his, and now it's going to be ghosts versus pure infestor.
Wow, so much aggression out of Trimaster, not even incorporating a single drop in this game so far, but it does look like now he's knocking at the Zerg player's main base. Is this going to be enough? It looks like it's going to be, so it's really going to be up to REVnoxn to try and break it. Here he goes right now with everything he's got left, but the Banelings once again getting focused down with good siege tank placement there. Only a couple of Mutalisks remain, and Sean, I think a lot of this comes down to never being able to harass with those mutas, which just shows you how powerful a Terran player can be with untouched macro, and now all of these drones are going to melt away. REVnoxn is running out of answers.
A near flawless game by Trimaster, but very, very strong play by REVnoxn. I'm just so impressed at Terran's ability to just continue to take this down. Zerg's been showing uncanny resilience, but it's just a little too much. Now more Zerglings and Mutalisks spring into action. For once, they will not be able to break Trimaster's lines, but even so, a whole nother army is back at home.
And we do see drones pull off the line. Even if this gets cleaned up, it doesn't matter because that entire drone line has been decimated. There goes the Mutalisk, and there he goes. How did you have endless waves? Even watching from the spectator point of view, Trimaster knows what's up, the good macro, and that really was, Sean, a very high-level play out of Trimaster. He was able to get so many units off just those 3 bases, and he was so aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
And REVnoxn, you can see even then, I think once he crushed that army, he probably thought he had the game because he killed the contain 3 or 4 times, but then there was just a whole other army to follow it up. So Trimaster showing us why he did pretty darn good at MLG.
Yeah, and you know, REVnoxn, you got to give credit to him after playing pretty well, and after, you know, if you're getting this far, you at least know you're a good player. Having that happen to him and just going, man, that was really awesome. How'd that happen? Good game.
Yeah.
Like, that's very, very well mannered and the sign of someone who knows how to improve. So we're going to hop into game number 2. If REVnoxn wins, he'll tie the series up. If Trimaster wins, he is through to the finals of his bracket in the GSPA. Don't go anywhere. I'm Day 9.
I'm Husky. We'll be back.